Well, hey, folks. Thanks for joining me on what's going to more than likely be a slightly different live stream than usual. I don't have any of the classic trivia questions and prizes this time. I'm going to try to keep it short to an hour and mostly just kind of talk about the illness, the elephant in the room, right? Where I've been for the last 6 weeks or so, and kind of some of the hunts that I had before that happened, and what to expect this winter. So it looks like the chat is catching up with me, and I'm seeing lots of people saying hello. Glad to see you. Thank you, everybody, for not only joining me tonight, but the thousands and thousands and thousands of well-wishing comments I have received over these last 45 days. It's been incredible outreach of support from everybody. It's been amazing. So, like I said, we're gonna kind of talk about some of the better times before the illness, and talk about the illness specifically a little bit, because I haven't really gone into detail about it at all, except for that I've been able to get out of bed or whatever. So I've seen a lot of familiar names in the chat already tonight. Tyler James just sends a super chat, $10. Hope you're feeling better. Walked in the door at 6:59 and got the page up just as you started. Tyler and I were supposed to do some metal detecting over the last couple of weeks. He was driving through my neck of the woods, and unfortunately I had to cancel on him because I haven't really been able to do anything the last 6 weeks. So hopefully, Tyler, we can get together again sometime soon, probably in the springtime. Wonderful, wonderful comments. Thank you. So we can start with what's been up with me a little bit. And I've kind of refrained from talking about very particular symptoms. And it looks like my video just froze, so I'm going to wait until that kind of catches up, unless it didn't freeze for you guys. There, I'm back. Working with some new software here. So I've kind of refrained from talking about particular symptoms because while I know folks have nothing but my best for me in their intentions, I've still received lots of comments and messages. Even though I haven't talked about any of my symptoms, people will reach out and say, "Oh, I have the exact same symptoms," and well, again, I know that it's coming from a great place. They'll say things like, "Oh, I feel the same way, and I have MS," or "I feel the same way, and I have brain cancer," or things like that. And it's very easy to go down a very dark hole when you don't know what's going on with yourself. So I haven't really talked about that stuff, but I'll talk a little bit about it tonight. A little bit more in depth. Thanks for everybody for coming into the chat. Everybody's kind of talking about where they're from. Digging it. Mark H says that I'm invited to go dig with him. Thank you. I've been receiving a lot of emails and messages like that. And it has been awesome because I'm certainly going to take everybody up on those because, like I said, I have a kind of a big lack of content at the moment. Tyler James sends another $20 super chat and says, "I found an amazing find the other day in Maine. War of 1812, British Quebec. Embodied militia button. Interesting thing is, the battalion didn't leave Quebec during the war. Makes you wonder how it got to Maine." Thanks for sharing that, Tyler. A lot of well wishes in the chat. Glad I'm on the mend. Glad I'm feeling better. So let's talk about that real quick. So I want to kind of like preface this by saying like I have never been unhealthy in my like entire life. I've always been very lucky in that regard, and I eat well. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I get lots of exercise. I'm a jogger. I run like 5 miles. I have a 5-mile loop that Eddie sometimes runs with me, and I do it like 2 or 3 times a week. And September 17th, like I said, 45 days ago, day one of this thing, was like out of the blue. So the day before, I went metal detecting all day. I had a great day. And then September 17th, I went for a half day up in the mountains. Felt good, felt strong, had my heavy backpack on, swinging my metal detector all day. And then I was just out to dinner with my wife and a couple friends. Again, I don't drink. It was just a very standard hamburger and french fry meal. And we were done, and we were just kind of sitting around chatting. And my right arm went very heavy and tingly and numb. And then I like felt tunnel vision, and my ears started ringing, and I was like, I'm going to pass out. And I was thinking, maybe I'm dehydrated, right? I just spent the last 2 days metal detecting, probably didn't drink enough water. So I actually excused myself, and I went out to my car, and I drank like 3 bottles of water that were in a cooler in my car. Linda Lesko sends $10 super chat. Thank you for that support, Linda. And I started feeling like a little bit better, and then I went back to the table and sat there for another 5 minutes, and I was like, something's not right. And I let everybody know, like, I didn't feel well. I'm going to go out and sit in my car a little bit longer. And everybody kind of came up and came with me. And I made it across the parking lot. And my intention was to open up the back hatch of my car. And I made it to the front of somebody else's car. I thought it was the back of my car. And I just passed out, standing straight up, flat on my back in the parking lot. And I was out for a few seconds. And Becca, my wife, called 911 and went to the emergency room and spent the night in the hospital. And for, my time there, they did like all of the tests. They did the CTs and the EKGs and echo of my heart. And I actually wore like a heart monitor on my chest for 2 weeks. And they did like all the blood tests. And the ER doctor at the end of this was like, well, we got good news and bad news. The good news is there's nothing wrong with you. In fact, like, you're probably one of the healthiest people that's taken an ambulance ride to the emergency room in the last few years. But the bad news is, like, we don't know, follow up with your doctor, I guess, And so I did that. And we kind of talked about that whole situation in the context of, like, dehydration, I guess, maybe. But in the blood tests, by that time, the tick panel had come back. Alabama Critter Cam sends $10. Thank you for the support. And they did a tick panel of a few different tick-borne illnesses, which were all negative, except, folks don't know, the particular Lyme test that I took, it had 2 parts. And the first part is like an active antibody. So if you have Lyme, like from like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and your body is fighting it, your body makes this antibody and it'll show up on a test. That was negative for me, even though I had like 8 ticks in my legs a month ago, or a month before this episode, right? Tony says blood clot broke loose. They did a CT of my head and neck, and it was like no sign of anything like that. So big mystery. But the part of the Lyme test that was positive was the one that can stay positive for years after an infection. And I had a totally negative test in 2015. So sometime in the last 9 years, I got Lyme disease, and I was never diagnosed or treated for it. And my body just, fought it, I guess. And it's just been in me for that long. So I asked my doctor, I was like, well, could that be it? And he's like, maybe, we'll give you the doxycycline just in case. And so I went on a month of that, but that was like 3 or 4 days after this episode, right? After that, my right arm didn't get better, and it actually got worse. And my right arm had this like awful feeling in it, like an awful uncomfortable feeling that like spread to my right leg, and then it spread up, and it felt like it was like in my brain. And I had brain fog, which is a very benign word for what it actually feels like. I would have to like really concentrate on just being present and being aware of what was actually going on. So much so that I didn't even drive for about a month because it felt so unsafe. So yeah, long story short, the first month was awful. I say in my update videos that I'm feeling a little bit better because some days, it goes like this. Some days I'm like 80%, and then some days I'm like 10%, where I'm just like waiting for the day to be over to try to be better. Like I couldn't watch TV, I couldn't stare at my phone, like I couldn't do anything except just like wait to hopefully feel better. So that was the first month. The last 2 weeks, things have gotten better, but I still have bad days. Yesterday I made that update video saying feeling 95%, but then last night and this morning it was crashed again. So I don't know. I got the MRI of my brain. All's well. So it wasn't a stroke or something scary like a brain tumor or MS or anything like that. So everybody's stumped. Tortuga Lisa sends $10. Feel better, Brad? Frustrating when the docs can't pinpoint why you feel that way. I agree. Thank you for that $10. And throughout this, holy smokes, Teresa Duke, $50. Love your work, Brad. Wishing the best for your recovery. Thank you, Teresa. Yeah, and so throughout this month long or 6 weeks long, but the first month was the worst. My doctor was like, oh, well, we'll get you set up with infectious disease. Just, if it is Lyme, we'll figure out, if the month is enough of the doxycycline. And he sent it to my symptoms to them, and they're like, we don't even want to see him. It doesn't sound like Lyme disease. Go see a neurologist. Which is not, it wasn't very, it was a very scary message to receive, right? Something's wrong with your brain. But so I got the MRI and there was nothing wrong with my brain. So now I'm just waiting for that neurology appointment, which is like 3 months away. So in that time, from now until then, I'm just trying to like self-diagnose, who knows? Trying to think of everything possible and kind of treat myself. So I'm seeing a masseuse in case it's like a pinched nerve. Right, the thing I'm thinking of is like I spent the last decade with like a 30-pound backpack swinging a metal detector in my right hand back and forth. Maybe something's messed up back there, so I've seen a masseuse. I noticed like a weird correlation with like the worst days and some foods that I'm eating. So like maybe a weird food allergy. So I'm like trying to cut out certain foods and stuff. So I'll figure it out. I'm fairly certain all of the really scary stuff has been dismissed. And now we just got to figure out what's going on. Kev says, go see House. I would love to. He'd figure it out, wouldn't he? So like I said, this week, the last few days have been pretty good, but then I crashed again last night and it's never predictable. We'll have to wait and see. So that's my story. Like right now I'm feeling pretty good, way better than I did this morning. I was actually thinking about trying to go metal detecting today, but it didn't happen because I felt so awful this morning. So hopefully next week will be like my first really good week where I can actually go out and film something for like a half day. I have been very, very fortunate that like people in my community have reached out to me and be like, hey, if you just need like a half day, like you can come do my yard. So I wanted to preface this by saying like videos, I have 4 that have been filmed. The videos in the wintertime are all probably going to be like yards, right? Because I don't trust myself hiking up to the top of a mountain by myself or with somebody else and asking them to carry me out if something terrible happens, if I pass out again. Danny says, with that burger place, maybe McDonald's? No, it was a very nice restaurant. It was a very fancy burger, actually. Grumpy sends $10 with no message tag. Thank you. I miss Michelle. Sends $9.99. I really hope you get better soon. I'm displaced Vermonter. I so miss your videos. Yeah, thank you. I've talked about this with other YouTubers, and we get a lot of messages on our videos from folks who are disabled, and they say they watch our videos because it allows them to kind of get out into nature and go on these adventures. And I've always appreciated those comments, but it hasn't meant as much to me as this last month, because I've been, one of those people, and it is so difficult, mentally and obviously physically, to not be able to go do what you want to do, right? Especially for me, like, this is like my whole life is going out and filming these videos, going out into the woods. Like, I haven't been in the woods in 6 weeks during the most beautiful time of the year in Vermont. And it's been very, very frustrating and very difficult. So yeah, so my heart goes out to the people that have been like that for many years and years and years. I'm really hoping that, you know, things are going to turn up for me in these next couple of weeks. Okay. Digging with Rob says, folks, are you noticing Brad is staying away from the COVID questions? He's not going down that rabbit hole. I honestly haven't been looking at the chat. But you're right. I probably shouldn't go down that rabbit hole. I did have COVID in 2021. And, you know, this could be, you know, I have read that fog, you know, brain fog is a side effect of having COVID. I know our friend Chill Bills has said that he's kind of suffered from that a little bit after having COVID. But, you know, this was, for me, it was like an episode, like I passed out, and then since then it's been like awful symptoms. I'm not sure if that's something that happens with post-COVID, but maybe. None of my doctors have said anything about it. So anyway, Jared says, did you get any vaccines after feeling that way? I am fully vaccinated. I got multiple COVID vaccines because I went to France, and, you know, the rest of the world doesn't have a lot of the feelings about vaccines that the United States have, and they were required to go to France when I went there. But like I said, this was many years post, and it was like a moment that like happened, you know. I'm not sure that would pertain. Michael McOwen, $10. I've been paralyzed for 18 years this month, and watching your videos gets me outside again. Get well, thank you. Well, I'm glad my videos are able to do that for you, Michael. And I've not been paralyzed this last month, but I've certainly felt the want to be able to go do something like that and not been able to. So I feel for you. And yeah, so VT Taboot says permethrin. I've never learned how to pronounce that word. To spray down the shoes and cuffs works well. Thank you. Yes. So if this does happen to be a Lyme situation, right, that is ongoing, or long Lyme or chronic Lyme, or whatever the term is for it, I have a foolproof tick regiment for when I go out filming. I've never had a tick on me, stuck in me, after a day of metal detecting in the woods and filming. The 8 ticks that I had in my leg, I got just from an afternoon with my son. Like, I think that it was either like a little hike that we went on that I didn't even think to check myself, or we were at like a little lake. We went swimming and stuff, but like we were kind of in the grass and stuff too. It was like not even on my mind. I wasn't wearing my special pants, my special boots with my socks tucked in and everything. It was just like a fun day. And that was the day I got all the ticks on me. But no, I never had any flu symptoms. I never had any bullseyes. I never had any of that stuff. It was, if I did have those, it was a long time ago, years ago. So anyway, thank you. That's the story. I'll kind of stop talking about the illness now. I spent 20 minutes talking about it. But it has been like the only thing that I've been thinking about and doing for the last 45 days is trying to like figure out what the heck is going on and how I can make myself feel better. Hopefully the massages and all the stretches and the cutting out certain foods out of my diet will have an effect. So thanks again to everybody for all the super chats. There's another one. Krilla sends $20. Hey man, Keith down here in the famous tick disease epicenter, Connecticut, still using your custom program, Brad, on my days too often. You got me into this hobby about 2 years ago, and I hope to go swinging with you someday. Connecticut is not so far away. Once I am back on my feet, let me know and we'll absolutely get together. I'm glad to hear that program is working for you. Thanks for the donation. So real quick, we're going to kind of talk about the 4 videos that I was able to film. And funny enough, you know, I was thinking about like this moment where I got sick. About the month before, I was like, had a couple moments where I felt a little bit weird, a little bit foggy, but nothing crazy. But one day particular, I went and visited our friend Rebecca, where we found the class ring on the necklace, right? Went back to her property, and like I drove all the way there, and I realized I had forgot my cameras. And I was like, man, that's never happened before, right? That was very strange. So I had to go drive all the way back and get my cameras and drive my way back. And we had a great day. I actually have a couple photos of some of the things we found. I don't want to spoil a video, but it's not really a spoiler, right, for a YouTube video. One of the things that I was so excited about finding on Rebecca's property is, it's very difficult to see, but it's one of the very few Vermont coppers, the Vermontensium coppers, that I have found. I've found maybe half a dozen now, and they all pretty much look like this, but so excited. It's got the sun and the mountains and the little pine trees on there, like I have used as a logo of mine for a while. So that was an awesome find. And if anybody remembers, the last time we were there, I found actually a hunk of guitar, acoustic guitar, like a bridge tailpiece part of it. And which is like the first time I've ever found anything that is guitar related as a guitar player, right? If you didn't already know, I write all the music in the videos. But I found a silver guitar pin. It's about this big. Unfortunately, it was very broken. You can see that the neck was broken off of the body, and the headstock was totally gone. But that whole, you'll see in the video, but the whole kind of side of this bank had recently been worked with an excavator. So who knows, it's probably there somewhere. But an amazing find with all that like very fine filigree. Once I got all the dirt out of there, beautiful piece. So that was a lot of fun. I think that the video with Rebecca on her property will be coming up next. I don't think this coming week. I think we're going to start like vlog video. So I think the next week is going to be a vlog, but following week will be that video. Tyler sends another $20. Tyler, you got to stop doing that. For the winter, if you run out of videos, you could do a series of videos where you take a selection of finds and do a deep dive into the history behind them and what was going on at the time when they were used or made. That was one of my plans. I've already started setting some relics aside that I find particularly interesting, and I was thinking about like making a video on one particular relic, what it is, how it was used, in the context where I found it. I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Tyler. So that's one of the videos coming up. Another video coming up is going to be very different from my others, because I went and I had the GoPro and I had like all of the cameras that I usually carry. And the day started like the property was on paper amazing. The house was from the 1700s. There were multiple barns. There were multiple outbuildings. It was like basically one owner until like the 1980s. One owner of one family owned, and all this open property to metal detect. And like from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. we didn't find anything interesting or old. But I'd had my GoPro running pretty much the whole time. But what that means is I didn't really like get down and talk into my camera and do the thing that I usually do. But from like 2 to 4, we found a bunch of cool stuff. But at that time, I had already given up on like making a video. So what I think I'll do is I'll try to edit a video that is not like my normal ones. It's very much going to be like a point and shoot, just my GoPro camera footage, walking around, metal detecting, finding some things, but not really talking about them in depth. Like I said, it's not my usual thing, but hopefully people will still enjoy it for a week, right? One of my weekly videos. I'm realizing now I always have made excuses in the past about not looking at the chat because I've got Eddie with me or somebody and we're talking and we're telling stories and stuff, but I'm just not a very good streamer because I cannot read and talk at the same time. I see lots of comments and questions and stuff and people talking to each other, and somebody said, "Hi, Steph Diggs." I guess Steph is here. I didn't see your name in there. Oh, there. Hey, everybody. Hey, Steph. We had a blast, and where were we? Were we in Connecticut months ago now, which was a great trip. I had 2 videos of that trip on my channel. Probably the most recent new ones before my reruns. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, so that trip with when I went and I didn't really like do a whole lot of like of my usual filming. I found a gotta find it here. Seeded dime. Like the only old coin we found the entire time was an 1850s silver dime. Like, and at that point I was like, I hadn't really filmed anything. I was like, well, it's so late in the day, probably can't start filming now. And I didn't. But I do have like the moment I found it, and then I walked over and showed the landowner, and him and his buddy were like freaking out. So it was cool. Another really cool hunt that we have coming up is, and I believe he's actually already posted his version of the day. Is our buddy Scott Washburn at 802 Outdoor Adventures. I went and did another gold panning day with him, and I think that he just posted his version like a few days ago with me in it. But we went and we spent the whole day gold panning in Vermont, and I think I found more gold that day than I've ever found in one day gold panning, excluding my nugget. So that's going to be a good one coming up too. And that was like a long time ago. That was in the middle of the summer, but I just didn't get a chance to edit it yet. T-Bird says, for a side project, you could design a PC game, metal detecting simulator. I don't know the first thing about that, but it sounds fun. Actually, somebody sent me a link to one of those games like a long time ago and asked if I would play it and give him my thoughts on it. And it was like you had a little guy that would walk around and your metal detector would beep and you like click and it would be something. I don't remember enjoying it a whole lot. It's more fun going out and doing it. And the last like new video that I was able to film before this whole situation was a really cool property. A gentleman has a miniature train track, like you can go and see it. You know, it's like almost like an outdoor museum, and you can go see this miniature, like not like miniature, but like you could like sit on it and, you know, go around. And it was like a great old family property, his family farm. And we found a lot of really cool stuff. There's a couple dumps on the property, and one of the coolest things I found that day was this sign for Stetson hats styled for young men. It was like basically on the surface in this dump, and I haven't really figured out. I haven't done all the research on all the stuff that we found that day yet, but it's about 100 years old. This cool old sign for Stetson hats. That was a great day. I found a lot of cool stuff that day. Coming soon to YouTube. And then around like the first of the year, I'll do like a top 2024 finds, top 10. Design the game in Unreal Engine 5. Okay. So I wanted to kind of talk about ideas from you folks, kind of field questions from you guys, not questions, but suggestions like Tyler did earlier about videos that I can make probably in my house, you know, once we're snowed up. And I love the idea of like a video about a particular artifact that I've previously found and kind of go down the rabbit hole of not necessarily who owned it, but like what it is and the history behind it and stuff. I love that idea. I'm open to doing more live streams and just kind of like question and answer stuff like I'm failing to do right now. But like we could just do like a whole like 20 minutes or 30 minutes of just like chatting, answering questions, hanging out. And that would be like in place of a normal weekly video if I run out, right? Tyler James, another $2. You could also do a top finds of all time video. I could do that. But then I would have to do another one if I found something amazing, right? Which I guess I could do. Be Still and No sends $99.99. Wishing you the best and that you'll be back when you can. Love your work. Incredibly generous donation. Thank you. And yeah, trust me that if I was well enough to go swing a metal detector for a day to film a video, I would be out there today doing that. There's a little bit of worry in me that it is like a pinched nerve or like a weird spinal thing that like am I gonna hurt myself more if I go out and try again. So I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer and probably stop wearing a backpack. I'll have to figure out some other kind of gear scenario, how I carry all that stuff, or at least get a better quality backpack. Just play it by ear, Luckily I do use a Deus, which like weighs nothing, so that's not a huge concern. It's mostly all the weight on my back. So yeah, so I'd love to kind of get suggestions from you folks about what you would like to see. I've definitely heard like metal detector how-to videos, which I don't feel like I would enjoy making because I'm really not like gear oriented. Like I don't really go into depth on settings and different size metal detector coils and things like that. But I have been doing this for a long time, so maybe somebody would value my opinion on that. Tyler says it sends another $5. You don't have to keep doing that, Tyler. Thank you. Could also do a beginner guide to metal detecting type video. Go over your settings and tips and tricks. And yeah, the Deus. Right. Thank you. I've been thinking about that. Like I said, I don't know how many tips and tricks I have. You swing it back and forth, and when it beeps, you dig up whatever it beeped on. But there's a little bit more nuance in there, I guess I can go into. Hey, Brad, we are concerned for you and your family. Thank you. Stay the course. $5 is not as good as a Spanish real, but better than a kick in the pants. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. But yeah, we could go into, I could make videos about some of the more obscure items that I don't find in every single video, but are kind of like more common things. One of the hardest things for me when I started the hobby was identifying things, and it still is sometimes. You always find things you don't know what the heck they are, but there's like 150, 200 things that are very common to find, and some of them are fairly obscure. If you follow any of those like Facebook pages, like the ID Me pages, there's some things that people post all the time that are common, but they're kind of obscure. So yeah, Ricky Ginger says, do a video on how and what resources you use to find historical places. That's a good one. How to find places. Because that is like the hardest part of the hobby of metal detecting, right? Is like you've got your metal detector off Amazon and you got your shovel and you're ready to go. Like, where do you go? Right? Everybody kind of goes to the park first. And you can have a lot of luck at parks, but like you want to go to like nice old places nobody's ever been before. So how do you find those places? That's a good idea. David Pierce says, get family or friends to film and carry your pack. I would love to do that. just get, maybe my boy, he's 8 now. Maybe he's old enough to start filming and carrying my backpack for me. Gabriel says, did they do a test for tick disease alpha-gal syndrome? I don't believe they did a test for that, but believe me, I have Googled symptoms for every disease you can imagine over these 45 days. And I don't have any like stomach problems, or I didn't have any fevers. I didn't have any of the classic symptoms for that. It's all been like brain fog and like electricity, like electrical feelings in my head, like brain zaps, I think they're called colloquially, and like tingling. And like these last 2 weeks, I've lost a lot of dexterity in my fingers. Like, so I'll like try to manipulate a coin in my fingers and I'll drop it unintentionally. It's been awful. I've been playing more guitar. I've mentioned in previous videos that like I was a professional guitar instructor for like a decade. And then now I kind of just play guitar to make music for the videos. But like these last couple of weeks, I feel it losing my fingers. So I've been playing a lot more guitar as like therapy, try to help myself along there. how do you pronounce that? Largaroom Studios. Try an inversion table for any pinched nerve. Your shirts are very comfortable. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for the $10. I'll have to Google inversion table. I don't know if it's a pinched nerve. I'm guessing. I'm like I said, I have doctor's appointments like months away, and so I'm kind of in limbo trying to diagnose myself. Pinched nerve, some weird food allergy, or maybe Lyme disease are my guesses at the moment, but it changes day to day. Michelle says, sounds so neurological. I know. They did the scan, and it seems fine in there. So anyway, inversion works. Is that like literally turning you upside down? Because that's what it sounds like. I've seen like these contraptions, like they hang you safely by your head and kind of like stretch you out a little bit. Julianne says that sounds like Lyme disease. I feel like I lost feeling in my feet, but it's back. Yeah, it could be. The thing that was, I think, the trigger. So I mentioned this in the beginning of the stream, but my primary doctor, sent all of my symptoms to the disease specialist, the Lyme person, and I might have messed up. And during the extreme brain fog and like headache, I had mentioned that I was like having difficulty, like I was reading my boy a bedtime story, like an 8-year-old's bedtime story, and I was like having real difficulty articulately, or I can't even pronounce it now. Maybe I'm still not well. Trying to read it articulate and read aloud, and I said that to him, and he was like, "Oh, really? Like that doesn't sound like a Lyme thing." And then the Lyme specialist was like, "Oh yeah, that doesn't sound like Lyme." And then so they're like, "Go to a neurologist." So anyway. So yeah, I'll figure it out, and it's really wild psychologically too, because like yesterday I felt so good. I was like, yeah, like it was probably nothing, it'll pass. I'll be fine. And then like last night, this morning, I was like, oh man, I'm dying again. So anyway, so keep coming with your ideas about what I can do. I have my ideas for my own, but I'd love to hear what you want to see aside from me going up into the mountains and doing what I usually do, because it's going to be a bit before I can do that. Rob says there's a lot of doctors in the chat tonight. That's why I've kind of refrained from talking about specific symptoms for this whole time, because everybody is meaning very, very well, but it can be scary to a person who doesn't know what's wrong with them. Interviewing other detectorists, says Mike S. I love that idea. We're going to leave that to Quarter Hoarder. He does a way better job at that than I would. If you don't know who Quarter Hoarder is, go look him up on YouTube. Once a week, he interviews other metal detecting folks, and he does a great job at it. Paul says, Brad, glad to hear you're doing better. Just curious, have you used the website Historic Aerials for researching areas? Thank you, Paul, for the super chat. I do use Historic Aerials, but not as like a first step usually. And to be quite honest, it's not fair. And I'm very fortunate, but almost all of the places these days that I go metal detecting are people reaching out to me saying, hey, I have a cellar hole in my property. Do you want to come metal detect it? Very lucky in that regard. So when that happens, I will take their address and I'll put it in Historic Aerials. I'll put it in Historic Mapworks, and see what was going on there over the many years. Very rarely do I start there, but you can, right? You can just kind of scroll around looking for cool old stuff and then move the slider to present and see what's going on there now. Laverne sends 1999 super chat. Thank you. With a little hippo. Victory. I hope so. Brian says, I'm putting that little project in the mail for you this week. I'm terrible with names, Brian, but I assume that is the leather project. If you are who I am thinking which is going to be very appreciated. I have something to do. Stupid name 80 sends $10 super chat. Great to see you. Great to see a smile on your face. I hope you find the answers you seek and get back on your feet soon. Thank you. Laverne says, don't get a neck adjustment till you rule out a neck injury. Yeah, that's a good idea. Like I said, I'm getting massages, and they didn't really say anything about, I mean, they're not chiropractors or physical therapists or anything, but they didn't really say, they said I was very tense, which I'm sure I am. Cynthia says, save the new leads for when you are better, dude. Yes, I have, like I said before, I have been very, very fortunate that probably 20 people have reached out to me within like a 2-hour radius of me being like, come film a video on my land, like anytime. I'm still refraining from like driving long distances. I was so disappointed. This weekend is the Digging It Dude event in New Jersey, and I just don't trust myself driving that far. You know, once you've passed out abruptly for no reason, seemingly, it can be a little bit scary going on like long drives like that. So I'm not quite well enough to do that yet. Hopefully by the springtime, I'll be able to kind of go to the further away permissions and stuff. Ricky Ginger again says, do a video on how to clean coins and relics safely. I like that idea. Relic cleaning. There's lots of different camps and ideas about what's right to do, what's not right to do. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy, you know, finds stuff in the ground and does my best. But yeah, we can talk about that too. Someone give Brad a ride. Thank you. Amelia says, what do you do with all the stuff you find? Organizers, display cases? Yeah, and that's probably the most common request I get for videos is show us your stuff, you know? And I've did one of those in a vlog like a long time ago, and I've kind of refrained from doing that because when you have an audience of tens of thousands of people watching a video, I don't necessarily want to be like, hey, look at all of the stuff in my house, right? For maybe obvious reasons. But I can probably make videos kind of showing you how I organize it and how I display it without it being an advertisement to come break into my house, right? But yeah, that's a good idea. I'll have to put some thought into how to do that safely. Collector detectors, $1.99. Brad, glad you were on the mend. Cheers. Thank you for the kind words and the super chat. But yeah, I like, you know, like a collection video, or at least how to display, how to organize, because, you know, you watch my videos and at the end of every video, I have this pile of stuff, like what happens to all of that, right? And we all know that museums are guilty for not being able to display everything that they have. Like most of it's in drawers and stays there forever. Kind of similar, right? I can only show so much stuff. I have a lot of little boxes that things sit in and never see the light of day. But it's all very meticulously categorized and GPS pointed and all that stuff. We can talk about that. Teresa Duke, I also like your microphone building videos. Do you still do that work? I do. I have a little business where I hand make microphones. My workbench for that is over here. And within the last couple years, I've really concentrated on YouTube more than the microphone business. I've been very lucky in that, like, my job has been microphones, and then YouTube started doing this, and then it kind of started, I stopped advertising the microphones, and it kind of went like this. And so microphones have been like a day or two a week. And I've been able to kind of push that up while I've been ill to kind of sit down here and solder together microphones. So yeah, I mean, it'd be a very boring video of just soldering little surface mount components, but we could do that too. Greg Tennant, what is your vocal mic chain? You mean this one? This is an Audio Technica 4050 into a Volt 2 little interface I just got because I was going through my whole Pro Tools system and it was way too messy and too many points of failure. So now it's just a little USB interface. Tyler says you could do some more music videos. I mean, like videos making music. I definitely could do that. Yeah, I've thought about videos about like how to make videos, you know, and how to make the music and how to make the videos and stuff. But I mean, they will definitely reach a smaller audience than like my typical thing. But it's something that I can enjoy doing and something that some people will find interesting, I think. How to make videos like Brad. I'll write that one down too. How to do music and videos. Yeah, right. Rob says, Brad, just let everybody know that you put all the good stuff in the safety deposit. That's right. All of my most valuable artifacts are off premises. Are definitely not in my home. Yeah, so I kind of made a promise to myself and to viewers that this coming winter, even though I have not been able to build up videos, like I will post something every Friday around 8 a.m. Whether it's a vlog type video or whether it's a how-to type video, whether it's a vlog that it doesn't have anything to do with metal detecting, I'll post something. Ricky Ginger sends $5 super chat. Hey, what? Heal up, bud. Love your CHT chat channel. Thank you. Laverne says, come to my property. Mad Dog Mandy has found so much 1700s farm. I would not only love to do that, but I would also love to meet Mad Dog Mandy. I think I've gone on record many times on this channel saying that he was, if not the first, one of the first YouTube channels I ever watched, because he was like a fairly local Vermonter on YouTube finding awesome stuff. And I've still never met him. Monk Cheetah says, you have all your good finds and stuff buried in your backyard, I bet. Nope. If there was anything ever there, it's definitely not there now. The place I probably metal detected the most was my backyard. Philip says, glad you are better. Thank you, Philip. I'm really trying every day. I'm trying everything I can. Never caught Brad live, but never miss a video. Well, thank you for joining me. This is a very unconventional live chat. Usually we've got Eddie here with me and we're doing giveaways, and couldn't pull it together this season. But springtime, like I said, we'll make it up. I feel like the last live stream we were talking about, we're going to have like jingles and like random number generators for giveaways and stuff, but that didn't happen. Hopefully next time. Steve bet $11.11. Positive vibes from Virginia. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a weird, because like I said in the very beginning of the stream, like I've never had any health problems. Very, very healthy. I'm like known as the mountain goat, metal detecting up in the mountains. Like my doctor has always been like, I go see him for a checkup and he'd be like, don't come back for 3 years. Like you're good, right? And then just one day, pew, on my back for a month. It's been rough. Butterfly Kisses says, this is more personal and very nice way to chat. Just chat. I'm glad you enjoy it. Maybe I'll have to do these every so often this winter time just to kind of fill days, because I am very bad at interacting with viewers in the comments and in usually in these live streams. So I'm glad I'm able to do that a little bit. It's 10 of. I'm going to try to cut it off right at 8. Like when Eddie's with me, we have a terrible time doing that and go hours over time. But we'll try to keep it to an hour tonight. Julianne says, I blame the tick bite. Ticks are vicious. It could be. And you know, it's like, I was in denial for a long time about the tick thing because like 4 or 5 of my immediate family members have all had Lyme disease, and they all got the bullseye. They had flu symptoms. They got the doxy, and they're fine. And I didn't have any of that. So I was kind of like, that doesn't sound like. Even my doctor was like, yeah, maybe. It's just not very well understood. Yeah, Stan says Lyme is the only thing that kicked my butt. Yeah, it might be me too. Like it's been very, very strange symptoms. All the doctors are stumped, and Lyme would make sense. I just need to kind of talk to a specialist about it, but they didn't want to see me. Maybe I'll try again. So yeah, so I've got some good ideas here, I think, for wintertime videos. On top of the vlogs, we've got like the relic cleaning, we've got how to find places, we've got how I make the music, and how maybe even how I edit the videos, how I go about filming the videos, which is way overkill. You don't need to do what I do to make metal detecting YouTube videos, but if people are interested in kind of behind the scenes stuff. David says, hey everyone, first time here. Thanks for joining us, David. And yeah, I want to apologize. Everybody's saying don't have to apologize, but I do want to apologize again for the reruns, because like I fell ill, and I had a video already edited to publish. I fell ill on a Tuesday, and then I had the video for Friday already done. And then I was like, I'll just post that basically from like the emergency room, like right, post it. And then by the next Friday, I was like, I can't even like look at my phone or the TV. Like my brain is like electrified. I can't edit a video. And I was like, what am I going to do? I didn't want to like just not post anything. So that was kind of like the thing that made the most sense. And unfortunately I had to do that 5 weeks in a row. But I think I can sit down and actually edit now. I still feel a little electricity in my brain, but it's not as bad as it was for sure. Adventures with Piper sends $4.99 with no message. Thank you. Adventures with Piper. And those 5 videos that I published, I just went to my videos and organized them by views and just found the ones that had like the least amount of views, and just published those again. So it seemed like a lot of people hadn't seen those anyways. Casey says, do you go back and read all the comments? All these comments? I will probably go back and read the live chat comments. I'll rewatch it to make sure I didn't say anything too stupid, and read all the comments then. Yeah. But for like at least the update videos, like some of them got thousands of comments. Unfortunately, I was not able to read all of those. But for my weekly videos, I am usually able to read all of them. It's not great for my mental health either, like because I'll receive 100 wonderful comments, and then I'll read one negative one, and then that one just kind of like drills in, and I want to reply to that one, but I can't like reply to just the negative ones, right? So I read them all and take in all the good, and I typically don't reply to most of them, but know that I am reading them and appreciate them. Teresa Duke sends on $50. Thank you. The holidays are upon us, and your videos are of your lovely family visiting community sites in your area is something I look forward to each year. I'm on the left coast at sea level, not much snow, so I tune into yours. I do hope to. I haven't been able to film, like my family and I did. Well, obviously we went trick-or-treating last night. I was not feeling great, but last night was about my son, and I did my best so that he had a wonderful time trick-or-treating, and didn't feel right to bring my camera for something like that. And we did go to like a little pumpkin festival thing, and again, like my wife kind of had to like help me along through that one, and I wasn't up to carrying my camera for that one either. But a few times I've been out over this last 6 weeks, I haven't filming anything, but tomorrow, I think I'm going to bring a camera because so last year, I actually have a photo for this. I'll come back to that in a second. Eddie and I ran this 5K. I mentioned I'm a jogger. I have a loop around my neighborhood. It's 5 miles, and I will typically run that like 3 or 4 times a week. Eddie is now he moved, and he actually lives on that track. So Eddie and I have done some running together. And last year we did this 5K, and they actually used us for like a lot of the marketing. There we are. Last year doing the 5K. And tomorrow is the 5K again, and I cannot run it, I don't think. So my wife and my boy are going to walk it with me. Eddie's going to run. He's got some other buddies he's going to run with, and so he can get a good time. But I'm going to do my best to walk the 3 miles and try to make it to the finish line, and I'll try to film some of that. I was really looking forward to like getting a better time than I did last year, but even being able, like some days, even being able to walk for an extended period of time is going to be an accomplishment. So I'm going to do my best to try to do that tomorrow and film it. So that'll be like probably the bulk of the first vlog. No snow or beautiful flowers, or beautiful leaves, because those are all gone now. Unfortunately, I missed all that, but it'll be fun, I think. And we missed a super chat from Tyler again. You could make a Q&A and have people submit questions, and you answer the most popular ones. I'd actually considered that also. Thank you. Posing like a bunch of options for like a live stream like this, and then doing a live stream, just like it would take, on my part, it would take the amount of time that it would take to film a live stream. So if I'm not feeling well or whatever, I could just have this thing prepared to talk about for 15-20 minutes, and that could be the week's video. So yeah, that's been an idea of mine also, kind of field a bunch of options, and people say, oh, I would love to hear you talk about this for 20 minutes, and then I'd do a live stream about it. So that's something that's on the table as well. Yeah, Steven says, you're an accomplished musician. Show us how you create music in your videos. That's definitely something I can do. I have a couple of vlogs doing that, like writing some theme songs for the miniseries that I did, and a couple of the songs that are in random videos, but I could definitely do more of that. I haven't felt very inspired recently, but I am playing more guitar to kind of get my fingers working again. So that's definitely something I can do. Julianne sends $10. No message. Thank you, Julianne. I really appreciate it. Nice to have friends like Eddie. Take care. I haven't seen Eddie very much recently. I haven't seen anybody recently, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm missing Eddie. He did actually run. I almost pulled the video of this, but it would probably be too embarrassing for him. But he didn't want to bother me. He didn't want to come like knock on my door. So he like ran a route and then like ran up to my door and like did a dance in front of my security camera, and then like just ran away and texted me like, hey, check your security camera. So I actually do have that video on my phone. But yeah, Eddie's great. He's been checking in on me. In fact, there have been a lot of people that you've seen in videos, you know, Chris and Mike W, like the gang, but also, you know, like Jason, Quarter Hoarder, our buddy Joe from some of the event videos. They've all been texting me and being like, hey man, how you doing? Like, how you doing? Scott 802 Outdoor Adventures has been great. He's like offering to like mow my lawn and stuff. Amazing friends that we've been able to kind of create in this hobby and making videos. You know, the community of people have been awesome. Naaman says, show the Eddie dance. No, you kill me. Maybe next time I'll pull it. Beeping Adventure says more miniseries. I wish I had the energy to do a miniseries, but yeah, so maybe I'll address that. People have been asking, oh, when's the sequel to Grave of Gold coming? There are no plans for a sequel to Grave of Gold, but Eddie and I have chatted in the past about what the next thing might be, if it's going to be reality, if it's going to be something a little bit different. I've actually floated the idea by some other content creators, and they're like, yeah, that's actually novel. So we'll see. Ross Etheridge $19.99 super chat. Thank you, Ross. All right, folks. Hey, thank you. It's 8 o'clock. I'm going to call it here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Not only for all of the donations, which are above and beyond, but tonight, but also all of the donations over the last 5 weeks. I cannot tell you how many people have just like reached out with donations, with kind words, with letters, with packages, with phone calls. It has been far beyond my expectations, because you post a video and it gets tens of thousands of views, but it's really hard to grasp that every single one of those is a person that enjoys the thing you make and apparently cares about me as a person, which is wild. And I've really felt that the last 6 weeks, and it's meant a lot, and it's been very helpful, especially since I don't know what the heck is going on. It's very easy, as I mentioned, to kind of go down these very deep holes of what it could be, you know, and all of the kind words have been very, very morale boosting and greatly appreciated. Tyler sends another $5. Tyler. Hide a treasure somewhere and make clues to find it. A big treasure hunt for the viewers. I tried that with DeGrau, and frickin' Ben Harper found it in like 3 days. And Ben has been great too. He messaged me and he was like, hey, you know, I've had some similar things and I have this food allergy, like maybe it could be related. And I was like, yeah, maybe. And I'm kind of going down that rabbit hole now too. I'm like very methodical. People who watch my videos might have been able to tell this about me, but like every single day, I'm like, throughout the day, I'm writing what my symptoms are and how I'm feeling, scale 1 to 10. And so I have it on a big calendar, and now I'm going back and be like, what did I eat on this day? And like, I felt bad after that. Like, what did I eat on this day? I felt bad after that. I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to be feeling better as soon as I can. Thanks again, everybody, sticking with me. Thank you, everybody, for the donations and the kind words in the chat. Like I said, I'm going to stop this stream, and I'm going to run upstairs and lay on the couch and then rewatch it, make sure I didn't say anything too stupid, and read all of your comments again. So if I missed it, I will certainly see it next time. Thanks again.